Finally, today, and continuing on the topic of drought, SUNUP's Elizabeth Hoka talks with OSU Extension beef cattle specialist Dr. Dave Lalman about the importance of supplementation during the winter months.
We're here now with Dr. Dave Lalman, our OSU Extension beef cattle specialist. And Dave, we're getting ready to get into calving season. This is probably a good time for people to start thinking about their mineral supplementation. What are some things that they need to keep in mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, this time of year in particular, their nutrient requirements are rapidly increasing because if they haven't calved yet, that calf is growing fast, and that means their mineral requirements are going up just like their protein and energy requirements are increasing. But then they get into lactation, and of course it requires a lot of macro minerals primarily and trace minerals as well to produce milk, just like it does, again, protein and energy. And so it is an important time of year for mineral nutrition in beef cattle. What we want to encourage people and help people to do is have confidence in their mineral supplementation program. That's a challenge because mineral nutrition is difficult. There are a lot of minerals to consider. Some of them interact, and the cattle requirements are changing from stage to stage, just like we just mentioned. And forage quality is very different from farm to farm and from season to season. It's a challenge. So our job is to try to help people with a program or a plan so they have confidence in what it is they're doing is doing exactly what they expect and desire.
So before we figure out what we need to be supplementing, first we have to figure out what they're consuming now.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to go about it because, we need to know how much they're consuming. We can figure out what's in it, but we need to know how much they're consuming, and it's extremely variable. So tracking it is the best way, of course, to do that. Develop a record system, a simple record-keeping system, so that you have that information available when you get ready to evaluate the content of your mineral supplement.
Yeah. So how do you recommend people go about doing that?
Well, if you just, if you go out once a week to put out mineral or once every other week to put out mineral, just take a little record book with you or write it down in your phone so that later maybe you can enter it into an Excel spreadsheet or something. We even have an app on our OSU Beef Extension website that people can download and use. But the records they need to keep are real simple. I mean, just the date, how many bags of mineral you put out for that group of cattle, and how many cattle are in the pasture. Those are the primary things. Yeah. We can fine tune on that by including the mineral brand and which mineral it is they're feeding. Also, we could look at the mineral feeder and see about how much is left in there and write down, have a column for the amount that's left from the last time we put mineral out. And that would help you fine tune your estimate of how much you're consuming. It's not a requirement, of course, to have that information, but it might be helpful.
Yeah. And so once people get this information, what will they do with this information?
Yeah, so we've been doing that for a long time here at the Range Cow Research Center, and I've got a graph here just to show you since last July the mineral consumption of our fall calving cow herd. And you can see there that through the middle of the summer and even early part of the fall, their mineral consumption, first of all, is extremely variable, like we mentioned first. It just is. One week, the student, and Caitlin Kleffner is the graduate student, has been working on this for us for a good while now, and she's done a great job. But that's all she's doing. There really is taking the mineral out, writing down the number of cattle, the amount she puts out, and how many cattle are in the pasture. And this is a graph she created from that information. But it's extremely variable. One time she might go out there and there'll be zero change, look like they didn't eat a bit. And so the consumption is zero. And another time, I think on that graph, there's one week period where they consume nearly 15 ounces per head per day. Yeah. And the desired intake on that particular mineral supplement is about 4 ounces per head per day. Extremely variable. You can see there where the breeding season was on the graph. You can see where the cows calved. But the interesting thing is that generally speaking, people have a hard time getting their cattle to eat enough mineral through the middle part of the summer And, you know, with the heat and sometimes drought, forage quality is frequently beginning to decline. And you'd like for those cattle to be eating at least that 4 ounces that time of year, but they don't like to eat very much mineral for some reason. And we've never really figured out why they don't like to. But then in the winter, their mineral consumption really increases, and you can see that very clearly in that graph.
So variability is kind of a conundrum.
It is a conundrum, yeah, absolutely. The week-to-week variability, the seasonal variability is odd. Sometimes you change mineral supplements, and their intake will either go way down. They're like, they just don't think it's as palatable as the last supplement you're using, and sometimes it really increases. So it's hard to figure out. But that's why it's important to track it. You need to know. You need to know if they're only averaging 2 ounces of consumption, or if for 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row they've been consuming 8 ounces and they're supposed to be consuming 4. Well, then you probably need to maybe add some salt to it or something to help cut back on their consumption.
Yeah. So next time we talk, we'll talk more about what to supplement.
Yeah, we'll get into, simple ways, inexpensive ways to develop a mineral survey where they can look at what they're feeding now and their forage base and see if it's doing a pretty good job of a nice balanced program.
All right, well, it was good talking to you, Dave, and thanks for the information.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.